The black person dies first is a horror trope that most people are familiar with. It gets joked about a lot.
These two are dead. Why?
Because the black chick always gets it first.
If you don't watch a lot of horror, you'd be forgiven in thinking that black people surviving to the end credits is a rare occurrence and only started happening recently. In her book Men, Women and Chainsaws, Carol J. Clover coined the term the final girl to describe the last victim standing in the slasher subgenre. We go from identifying with the usually masculine killer to the feminine survivor. We can all name characters that either fit into the original trope, deviate from it, or completely subvert it, and most of them are white. When asked to name black final girls, it becomes a bit of a head scratcher. You might have named Alexa Woods in Alien vs Predator, or Selena in 28 Days Later, movies that were released in the 2000s. But let's go back a decade earlier. In 1995, Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, there was Jeryline. Jeryline is looked at as the first contemporary black final girl. Now that's not to say there were no black women that survived all the way to the end of a horror movie before 1995. There are a few, and I mentioned some of them in my Voodoo in the Media videos. Shameless plug. Go and watch them. The Tales from the Crypt franchise started life as a comic book series. The popularity of the comics saw the release of a movie in 1972 starring Joan Collins, followed by a sequel in 1973. A few short decades later, HBO produced the Tales from the Crypt TV show that ran for 7 seasons from 1989 to 1996. This episodic horror anthology adapted many of the classic stories from the comics, most of which were morality tales.
Which was the style at the time.
The series gained a lot of popularity and featured many famous faces. In fact, 2 of the cast members from Demon Knight, William Sadler and Billy Zane, starred in episodes of the show. Following in the footsteps of the most famous anthology TV series, The Twilight Zone, a spin-off movie trilogy was set to be produced for Tales from the Crypt, and would feature the Crypt Keeper who would open and close the tales just as he did for the TV show. Demon Knight has an interesting production history. First off, it's not based on any of the EC comics, and the first draft of the script was written by Mark Bishop and writing duo Ethan Reef and Cyrus Voris back in 1987, way before the TV show was even in development. Bishop, Reef and Voris intended for the film to be an action-adventure horror flick, a story about an immortal hero battling against the forces of evil, and for most of the movie to take place in one location with an ensemble cast to up the feeling of intense horror and claustrophobia, taking inspiration from horror classics such as Night of the Living Dead, The Thing, and Alien. The script changed hands numerous times. Tom Holland, the director of the original Child's Play, was attached to it first, but gave it up to direct Fatal Beauty. The script then found its way to Mark Carducci, who held on to it for a few years until it was passed on to director of Pet Sematary, Mary Lambert. But after the failure of Pet Sematary 2, Lambert couldn't find anyone who wanted to invest in it. The script then went to Charles Band Full Moon Features, but the budget needed for the film to be good was too much for the studio to make, and it sat on the shelf for some time until it finally found a home at Joel Silver's Pictures, where it was optioned to be part of the Tales from the Crypt trilogy. It was originally slated to be the second of the 3, but was bumped up to the first, thank God. During all that time of bouncing around from different directors and studios, the script had grown. Characters were added, dropped, and merged into one, and the mythology of the story had been strengthened, and comedic elements were added since Tales from the Crypt always blended horror and humor. Ernest Dickerson, who at the time was known for working as a cinematographer on many Spike Lee joints and directing the classic movie Juice starring Tupac Shakur, was chosen to be director. Back then, Dickerson was looking to work on a horror or science fiction project. The original writers were also brought back to work with the director to make the script fit with his vision. Unlike the other directors that were attached to the script, Ernest Dickerson didn't want to drastically change the plot or the concept of the script, just tweak it. There were also 2 versions of the script, one that had demons with all the special effects, and one that had minimal special effects, with the antagonist known as the Collector, and a small army of possessed Bible salesmen. Since the latter sounds like a would-be episode of Supernatural, everyone agreed with the former. The film opens with a car chase in a desert road in New Mexico that ends in a fiery crash. We don't know who we should be rooting for. The scruffy, drifter-looking character of Breaker that tried to steal another car, was quick to pull a knife when startled, and has strange, moving star tattoos on his hand. Or the clean-shaved guy in a cowboy hat that is way too calm with everything that's going on. Breaker follows the local drunk Uncle Willie to a decommissioned church that was turned into a boarding house. Here is where we meet everyone. The take-no-bullshit but very snarky owner, Irene.
God damn it. Get that pussy off the table. I meant the cat.
The insecure sex worker, Cordelia.
Assholes don't have friends.
The piece of shit Roach, the name fits.
Say we give those goddamn demons what they want.
the lovelorn and recently fired postal worker, Wally,
Yes, Cordelia. I really love you.
and the ex-convict on a work release program, Jeryline.
And the concierge will bring up your bags momentarily.
The man in the cowboy hat calling himself the Collector shows up with the sheriff and Deputy Bob, who have been told that Breaker is armed and dangerous. And Breaker, who has been shifty throughout, grabs Jeryline and holds her at knife point. This standoff does not last long as the Collector calls Breaker's bluff and he releases Jeryline. We learn that the Collector is after an ancient artifact in the shape of a key that Breaker has in his possession. Just when the key is about to be handed over, the sheriff gets word that both cards were stolen and attempts to arrest the Collector too. Here's where the fun starts. The Collector punches off the sheriff's head. The Collector drops his axe and summons a small army of demons. Look at this glowing green demon blood. This is so 90s. People were really into slime.
Monster blood. Did I not tell you to stay out of that room?
So here are the rules. The key can repel demons, the liquid inside the key can create a protective barrier to stop them from getting in, and the demons can be killed by destroying their eyes, making them quite the formidable foe. Trapped with nowhere to go, the residents must survive until morning against the demons. Demon Night is a play on words. The Collector starts picking off the group one by one through possession. Cordelia is the first to go and she kills Wally and maims Irene. This loss causes the group to turn on Breaker, and they try to escape through the mines. While down there, Jeryline rescues a little boy, and they all discover the mines are overrun with demons. So they escape back into the boarding house, and stupid-ass Roach breaks the seal, causing the group to retreat upstairs, further boxing him in. Breaker then explains the origins of the key, and how he came to hold it during the First World War. The key originally contained the blood of Jesus, and has been passed down from Demon Knight to Demon Knight, who filled the blood up with their own blood once they died.
What happens when you run out of blood?
They bring back the darkness.
Just like that.
Just like that.
The group are vulnerable, injured, and desperate, and the Collector uses all of that against them. For Cordelia, it was showing her kindness and loving affection after being abused by Roach. For Uncle Willie, it was simple, sexy women and a lot of alcohol. He offers Irene back her arm, but she just rejects him. I think he knew he wouldn't get too far with her. Now, Jeryline has the most elaborate pitch. The Collector conjures up some creepy music video set. He shows her what could happen to Breaker and offers her a chance to be free and see the world like she always dreamt about. This is just some obvious seduction. His voice is all low and sexy like an incubus thrall, and he expresses attraction towards her. But Jeryline ends up rejecting his offer. When Breaker is attacked by a possessed Uncle Willie, you see Jeryline have that inner battle and snap out from the Collector's compulsion. Meanwhile, Roach, who's living up to his name, steals the key and plans on selling out the group. He hands it over to the Collector in exchange for his own life, and as he goes to leave, the demons devour him. Breaker manages to get the key back, and the group retreats into the attic except for Irene and Bob. So Irene and Bob found a box full of guns and explosives in Wally's room. Turns out he was an incel and was planning on going postal. I guess that explains why he could shoot out the demon's eyes. He'd probably been practicing at the gun range. Some social commentary for you there. Bob and Irene fend off the demons as much as they can and then blow them up, going out in a blaze of glory. Now this could have easily gone a different way, where Irene could have fit into the sacrificial Negro cliche. This isn't the case though. Irene is bleeding out from her wound, and this is her home and her livelihood. She's going out with it like a captain on a sinking ship. She's not going out alone either. Deputy Bob is right there with her. And out of the 3 characters they're helping escape, one of them is another black woman. They knew pretty early on that not everyone would make it out alive, and they chose to go out in a really good way.
Supper time.
See how having a black director can notice something like that and tweak it just enough so it doesn't embody a tired cliche? The 3 survivors are trapped in the attic. Breaker sees the blood in the key is almost done and pours some on Jeryline to protect her. He tells her that he was destined to find her, that the stars all aligned and led him to her.
You're the chosen one. That's what I came here to do. Give you this key.
Before he can pass the key on, the little boy, Danny, remember him? He's a demon now, and he tears Breaker apart. Jeryline finally stops hesitating and pleading with the trapped soul and kicks the demon out of the window. Breaker is old, tired, and dying, and transfers on the duty of Demon Knight onto her, knowing that she will succeed. The Collector confronts Jeryline, and he still wants to bring her over to the dark side. Why? Well, because he has a crush. Jeryline, who is now covered in Breaker's blood, uses it as an armor and weapon against the Collector. He manages to get the jump on her and washes the blood off and dumps out most of the blood from the key. Jeryline takes out his eye and holds a mouthful of blood. The Collector, who is still infatuated with Jeryline, tries to declare his love for her.
Jeryline, I you. Jeryline,
Jeryline rejects him for a final time by spitting the blood in his face, causing his skin suit to melt off completely, revealing his true winged demon dragon form, and sending him back to hell. Jeryline wakes up in the daylight, refills the key with her predecessor's blood, and catches the first bus out of town, but she makes sure to protect the bus with the blood from the key. As the new Demon Knight, she must remain vigilant, because there's a new Collector out there. It hasn't even been 24 hours. I love this movie. It's just a fun horror comedy with all the gore and cool creature designs, and all the performances were great too. Billy Zane as the Collector, not even gonna lie, he was doing it for me this movie. This was the first time he was bored on camera, and such a great choice. It was really working for him. He provided most of the comic relief in the movie and was just a good blend of charming and wacky, like a demon cartoon character. So apparently, the head of the studio wanted Cameron Diaz for the role of Jeryline. But after seeing Jada Pinkett in Menace to Society, Dickinson wanted her as Jeryline, as he pictured her as a tough little woman. And like he said, he had to fight for her too. He argued that no one will think that this 5'1" black woman will be the last one left alive. And he was right. I know the first time that I watched this back in the day, I saw Jada Pinkett and I was convinced her character was marked for death, just like in Scream 2. So yeah, the studio agreed with Dickinson's choice in Jada, and when she showed up, she looked much different than how she did in Menace. Gone were the short box braid, Jada's hair was now cut really short and dyed platinum, and she was adamant about keeping this look because she felt it suited the role. And you know what? She was right. I rock with this look. I just love black women who have shaved platinum blonde hair. My mum had a similar style in the early 2000s and she looked good. But on the real though, this look really worked for the character. Jeryline was this young woman with a criminal past.
So what were you in for? I'm not passing judgment.
Stealing. Okay?
She has a bit of a tough girl attitude and a tomboyish feel with the baggy clothes. She was guarded and was putting up a bit of a front with the sarcasm. But she also had this soft and sweet side to her too. She has a black cat named Cleo that she's looking after and worries about through the movie. And in her room, she has a teddy bear on her bed, and maybe there's a scrapbook or a journal. There's also photos and posters of the wall of the Eiffel Tower and other landmarks, showing that she wants to get out of this middle of the nowhere town and see the world and travel. And the Collector would use this to entice her. There are all these details that I only noticed on the second time I watched. When Breaker's in Jeryline's room, there's a flash of lightning that lights up the stained glass window, making a cross appear on the wall, and that causes him to have a flashback of the life of the previous Demon Knight. That's that foreshadowing right there. Another thing that makes Jeryline a great hero is that she's not a big fighter. She's just as scared as everyone else in the beginning. She's not taking out demons with a knife or a gun because she never used them before. She's not a soldier like Breaker, so she's not going to run up on the Collector like that. But she's athletic and she's smart. So she has to get creative. Covering herself from head to toe with Breaker's blood was genius. Not only was she protected, her body was a weapon. And even though she's in her underwear for the entirety of this scene, she wasn't overtly sexualized. There isn't any close-up shots of her ass, and the camera doesn't linger all over her body. It's very easy to forget that she's wearing next to nothing. Then there's the holding that blood in the mouth for a very long time, like a really long time. The Collector was talking for time and was spinning her and knocking her about. Imagine not spitting that up or swallowing some. The strength, the willpower.
The power that has, the intelligence that has, the clearance that has, the access that has, the influence that has.
The film shows his influences proudly. The way how Breaker wants to test everyone with the key is very reminiscent of The Thing. Then of course there's Alien. Now I just want to talk about the cat again because something annoyed me. I was so sure that the cat would get possessed and kill someone, or it would die and that would set Jeryline off, but it doesn't. The cat just disappears. What happened to Cleo? Like, you built up Cleo all this time, and then she's just gone. While researching this video, I found all these behind-the-scenes photos of Jeryline as a demon. So, what happened? What got cut? What got cut from the movie? What's on the cutting room floor? If this wasn't in the documentary, someone explain, please. The way how Demon Knight ended left the story open for more. This spin-off could have birthed another spin-off. Demon Knight could have easily gone the Buffy route and become a TV show. Whoever owns the rights to Demon Knight, come chat to me. I will write the pilot episode. I have so many ideas.
I said, it's the perfect setup because everybody's going to think, she's going to die.
Right.
She dead already.
Right,
we know that. And she winds up being the sister that winds up saving the world.
When Demon Knight was released, it received less than favourable reviews. Critics deemed it not scary and not funny, and not worth the watch. With a budget of $12 million, it made a total of $21.1 million during its theatrical run, so audiences at the time found it to be pretty alright. Time has been kind to Demon Knight, as it has garnered a cult following and is looked back fondly as a fun horror classic of the 90s. It's so good it makes you forget that Tales from the Crypt made 2 other movies after it.
I have no idea who this is.
This film gave us our first contemporary black final girl. Not only that, but she's a chosen one. And if you watch old videos of mine, I have said I'm not tired of the chosen one trope because I haven't seen too many works where the black girl is the chosen one. And it almost didn't happen. Anyways, this Halloween, as you are making your final girl list, don't forget Jeryline. And if you haven't seen Demon Knight, please give it a watch. I just want to welcome everyone who has subscribed to the channel recently and say hey to everyone who's been here longer. Happy to see you're all enjoying the videos. Continue to watch, share and comment and all that stuff. I'm not good with outros. Goodbye.